Matthew Stafford deciding to stay put with the Rams and restructuring his deal. New on SportsCenter, head coach Sean McVay spoke today about his quarterback.
The end goal in mind was always to have Matthew back as the quarterback. There was never any dispute or discrepancy on that. We want to make sure we had all the information necessary and didn't want to have to do things in secret or whatever you will. There's a lot of narratives that were out there, some of which was accurate and a lot of which are probably not necessarily accurate based on how things can get lost in translation. All I cared about was our dialogue throughout. And I think ultimately it's about the partnership and how important it is, to have him leading the way. And so couldn't be more grateful, really excited about it, and been sleeping better these last couple days.
Yeah, really a good move for the Rams to bring him back. Good move for us to bring Dan Graziano and Sam Acho to discuss all things offseason. And Graz, I want to start with you. You heard McVay say it, speculation about where Stafford was going to be. He's going to be a Ram. Check that off the priority list for the offseason. In your mind, what do they need to do next?
Well, I think the next thing you'll see them do is find a new home for Cooper Kupp, their star wide receiver. Remember, earlier in the offseason, Kupp tweeted about the Rams telling him that they were going to work to find a trade destination for him. That's still the case. Scheduled to make $20 million this year. Of that money, $12.5 is salary, $7.5 is roster bonus, of which $5 is guaranteed. So teams that have talked to the Rams about a Kupp trade are aware that they will pay some of the money to get a deal done. We saw DeeBo Samuel land with Washington in a trade they agreed to with the 49ers over the weekend. Kupp could be that next veteran wide receiver to move.
And now that you have your quarterback situation situated, now it's time to get the defense fixed. What I think needs to happen is the next move needs to be to fix the cornerback position. Find a corner either in free agency or in the draft. You already have Braden Fisk, who's a dominant defensive lineman, even as a rookie last year. You already have Jared Verse, who was the defensive rookie of the year. So your defensive line is set. Now, if you want to compete even deeper in the playoffs, you have your quarterback set. Go and address the cornerback position. I think that's the next thing that needs to happen for the LA Rams to take the next step for their Super Bowl hopes.
And Odds, you hit on it. What did you say about both those pass rushers? Rookies. They've got a good youth cornerstone there on the defensive side of the ball. You got your veteran quarterback. They can build around this and maybe make another run late in the postseason. I want to switch gears now, Graz, to the Giants and Raiders. Both of them reportedly in the running for Stafford. We know they didn't get him. What might they do now?
Yeah, I don't think either team had a clearly defined plan B after Stafford. Stafford was the top choice, so now you pivot. If you're the Giants, you're picking third. You've scouted the two big quarterbacks, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, in this draft. They have to make a decision. Would they take one if he was there at 3? Would they move up to 2 or 1 to get him? And if not, who is the veteran quarterback that you want to bring in? A lot of the same names would apply for the Raiders as the Giants in these scenarios. Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson potentially. Justin Fields is a guy who I think is going to have an interesting market because he's still only 26 years old. So I think both of these teams, Giants and Raiders, like a lot of other teams, are still assessing their options at the quarterback position and trying to figure out what's the best way to go. Wouldn't be surprised to see either of them draft a guy and also sign a veteran.
But I do think they're in different positions. I'll start with the New York Giants. I think it'd be better for the New York Giants to actually sign a veteran, a guy like Sam Darnold. Why? Sam Darnold only threw for over 4,300 yards last year, 35 touchdowns, but he could provide some stability for Brian Daboll and that offense. New York Giants quarterback position has struggled for the last several years. He's stable. There's no rookie trying to figure it out. But I think the Las Vegas Raiders are different. I think they should actually go and address the quarterback position via the draft, and specifically Shedeur Sanders. We know about the relationship that Shedeur Sanders has with Tom Brady. We also know that Shedeur Sanders is a little bit more poised when it comes to his pocket presence. So I think there's a bigger opportunity for him to partner with Brock Bowers, an outstanding rookie from last year when it comes to the Raiders. So I think Raiders go draft. I think Giants go free agency.
Yeah, and look, you got Chip Kelly out there. You've got Pete Carroll. How will that surround a young quarterback at Shedeur? Infrastructure with a rookie quarterback is just as important as the organization, all the talent around him. Let's go to some of those names you mentioned, Graz, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. There's so many veteran quarterbacks out there that we believe are looking for a new home. What are you hearing about which one of them is drawing the most interest?
I think Justin Fields, again, he turns 26 this week. These other guys are obviously at the other end of the age spectrum. So I think you're going to see teams that look around and say that they can still see some upside with Fields, and especially a few of these teams that aren't necessarily close to championship contender status can, afford some developmental time with him. I think you'll see interest from the Jets. I think you might see some interest from the Giants and the Raiders. And, of course, Pittsburgh has interest in bringing him back and could conceivably just keep him off the market altogether with a new deal.
Yeah, I think that Justin Fields to the Jets makes the most sense, and not just because I'm wearing green. It's because of the upside, not just his youth. Justin Fields has the most upside of those three quarterbacks that we were just talking about. He had a limited opportunity last year in Pittsburgh, but you go back to his time in Chicago. He's a supreme athlete. He also is a relatively polished passer. There's room for much improvement. So if you think about his athleticism in New York and then the ability to improve as a passer, the opportunity for upside, low risk, high reward, makes the most sense for the New York Jets. That's why I think Justin Fields, out of those three options, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, is the best opportunity for New York.
And we've seen some examples in the past, gentlemen, of guys that get drafted by a team. It necessarily doesn't work out for team one. And in Baker Mayfield's case, maybe not till team 2 or 3, but if you give a talented quarterback time to develop, maybe Justin Fields is that player that can find a steady home and grow into the talent that we know that he has coming out of Ohio State. And let's be clear about one thing, Sam Acho. We know you're not wearing green for the Jets. You're wearing green because of TGL Today and golf, and reminding the beautiful people that the Masters starts 6 weeks from this week. So a tradition unlike any other. Acho, congratulations on your green jacket. We'll check out.
Touche, Matt Berry. Touche.
Welcome back to SportsCenter. DeeBo in D.C. The Commanders trading for DeeBo Samuel over the weekend. As NFL insider Dan Graziano and football analyst Sam Acho are back with us. Graz, I'm going to start with you. So what other moves could Washington make to help build around Jayden Daniels?
Yeah, I mean, look, primarily, Christine, Washington is going to have to add on defense. But in terms of right around Jayden Daniels, they'll look at the offensive line and how to continue to keep that strong in front of him. And they're going to need to continue to add pass catchers. There are 4 guys on Washington's team that played significant roles at wide receiver last year that are free agents. So they'll either have to be brought back or replaced. And, of course, and a couple of their tight ends, including veteran Zach Ertz, also free agents. So as big a move as this is, bringing in DeeBo Samuel, don't be surprised to see Washington continue to add weapons around Jayden Daniels ahead of his second season.
And Washington doesn't have to look too far to go outside add weapons. I think the biggest addition that Washington can make is actually a player on their roster already. Don't let Zach Ertz leave. Zach Ertz is a free agent right now, unrestricted. So I think if you want to have continued success for your last year rookie quarterback, keep his security blanket on your team. There's a game last year, I believe it was a playoff. Zach Ertz had 11 catches in that game. I get it. You have you just added DeeBo Samuel. I understand that. That's another weapon. But if DeeBo Samuel is covered, all of a sudden you want to have that security blanket for your quarterback. I think Zach Ertz is that. He's a Super Bowl champion. He understands what it means to win and has a level of maturity to a team that has a young quarterback.
Yeah, whatever they got to do to help Jayden Daniels out. All right, for the 49ers side of things, Dan, what is their plan to fill the void that Samuel leaves?
Well, those guys are already there. I mean, they have Brandon Ayuk, who will be coming off a significant injury, but was a player they signed to a significant